Mikhail Khodorkovsky, you have some new charges against you. How serious are the charges? Let's say you decided to go back and you stood trial, you were convicted. How long would you be in jail for?
Well, these are not the only charges against me. There have been previous charges against me in the past. So a return to Russia would mean life imprisonment for me. What is not pleasant about these charges is that it could mean violence used against me outside Russia.
Do you fear for your safety here in London?
No. Well, of course, I feel much safer here than in a Russian jail. In the Russian jail where I spent 10 years and 2 months, that's where I was knifed at least once.
You were knifed?
Yes, I was sleeping and somebody struck me with a knife, trying to hit me in the eye. Fortunately, they missed. The knife luckily missed my eye.
Wow, okay. We still, of course, remember, though, the fate of Mr. Litvinenko, though. Presumably, you have you would have that at the back of your mind, surely?
No doubt. Particularly because I know his wife. We keep in touch and bump into each other quite often at different events.
What do you think of the position of the UK government?
The British government has been involved in an ongoing dialogue with the Russian opposition, but the level of that dialogue has not been very high. I have had several invitations to talk to the British Parliament, and we are trying to inform them to provide them with the same amount of information about the situation in Russia that we have.
What would you like to hear from the new Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper?
Well, I think that Britain could play a much more important role, a much more considerable role, not just in terms of providing support to Ukraine, and of course, Britain is already playing this role already, but by engaging more directly with the Russian opposition, because both of these things are two sides of the same coin. They are both levers of putting pressure on the Kremlin.
I want to come back to Ukraine in a moment, but when you say a more direct support for the Russian opposition, what would that look like in practice? Is it money? Is it what they say? Is it more sanctions? What would you like the British government to do for the Russian opposition now?
So we're not talking about money, we're talking about engagement. The United Kingdom is involved in certain steps vis-à-vis Russia, including sanctions, for example. And of course, the UK is playing a significant role in framing the position taken by Europe, although neither the UK nor Europe would recognise that openly.
Britain is doing things behind the scenes, is it?
It also has a certain role to play in the United States' position. What Britain is lacking today is expert knowledge about Russia, which it possessed about 30 years ago. So in fact, playing such an important part in all of these issues, it would make sense for the United Kingdom to have a dialogue with people who have the knowledge and have the expertise and who are natural allies of the British government.
So are you saying that, for example, our Foreign Office at the moment lacks the capability, the expertise to play the part you would like it to play in opposing Putin?
Well, I would say that the Foreign Office representatives do come to our events and they do take notes. But you know very well that what the apparat know and what is taken on board by people at the highest level of government are quite different. And that is very well understood by the Kremlin. So when the Kremlin see a potential dialogue, this rattles them. It makes them uneasy.
How long has Mr. Putin got?
So Putin, in fact, like many dictators before him, he uses very cleverly the support in the lower circles of society in order to put pressure on the inner circle. So while he's quite healthy, he can carry on doing this quite effectively. But if he loses his grip on power, even for a second, he won't be able to go back to holding power, as he did as Prime Minister in 2008 and 2012, because it's a different time now.
So, all in all, though, underlying it, do you think that this is now an opportunity for the opposition?
Well, yes, because I think by putting psychological pressure on Putin, creating a set of problems for Putin that he has to resolve himself or be engaged in resolving himself, and the consolidation of the opposition is one of those problems, all this is actually an opportunity to put pressure on the pivotal point of this conflict. And the pivotal point is Putin himself.
Just a couple of last questions. We should talk about Ukraine. Mr. Trump and Mr. Putin are going to meet in Hungary.
Are you sure?
I only hear what I hear from Mr. Trump.
Well, yes, it's something I've heard from him as well.
Okay. If they meet, what would you expect to come out of that meeting? Do you think Putin is ready to make a deal?
I get the impression that Putin has sent Trump a signal that he is ready for a deal.
What would that deal look like?
Well, however absurd it might sound, we are talking about the Donbass, I think. Putin wants to get the whole of the Donbass, those parts of it that he hasn't occupied yet. I mean, it might not be such a stupid idea as simply getting several thousand square kilometers, which in fact means nothing for Russia, given its size. I think what he might actually be thinking of is this kind of deal would destabilize the situation in Ukraine. So really, it all depends on how Zelensky, Trump, and the European allies of Ukraine deal with this situation.
But you think a deal could be on?
I have already started getting doubts about understanding Putin and what he really wants. But I've never had any idea about what Trump is all about, and actually trying to understand him is never possible. So now you're asking me how I understand the interaction or interrelation between them, and that's quite beyond me.
Last question then. How did you feel when you saw Trump and Putin together in Alaska?
In my head, I could understand why Trump was doing this. But in my heart, it was very difficult to accept.
And if, in the end, there is a deal and Putin survives, given what you've been through, how would you feel?
Well, for me, stopping this war against Ukraine, if Ukraine manages to preserve its sovereignty and also prevent the resumption of this conflict, that would be much more important than waiting a few years for Putin to leave the stage.
Mikhail Khodorkovsky, thank you.